When the Witch Queen exotic armor pieces were announced, people were immediately drawn to some of the flashier options, as Instant Devour or Sunspot on command seemed and ended up being insanely powerful. Now that the dust has settled, I'm here to bring you guys a Hoarfrost-Z build on Behemoth Titan that provides both insane survivability and crowd control to you and your fire team, as well as scales viably into endgame content. These intro clips, as well as much of the gameplay seen throughout the video, were captured live at twitch.tv/PixarDonks. Come stop by to see how I create these videos live. What's up guys, my name is PixarDonks and welcome to the channel. I play Destiny 2 on Xbox, and my goal with this channel is to provide you guys with creative builds, tips specific to my fellow console gamers, as well as cover niche topics I haven't seen anyone else cover. I play quite a bit of Destiny and follow the game closely, so I'll try my best to make sure any content here will be on topics I have yet to be seen covered elsewhere. That's it for the intro. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's hop into the video. When Beyond Light first dropped, Behemoth Titan was arguably the strongest character in the game. But after some changes to the melee and slide brought on by PvP imbalances, I feel as though it has been largely forgotten. The Hoarfrost-Z exotic chess piece brings some much needed utility to the subclass, allowing it to form an identity similar to that seen on Revenant Hunter or Shadebinder Warlock as the ultimate fireteam support. Let's take a look at our Stasis Titan build. This build will revolve around the exotic chess piece, the Hoarfrost-Z, the legendary fusion rifle, the Deliverance, as well as the freshly buffed and criminally underrated exotic auto rifle, Hardlight. Starting with our top slot weapon of choice, the Stasis fusion rifle, the Deliverance. Most people know this gun as the first ever top slot fusion rifle. What people might not realize, however, is that it is the only special weapon in the game that can roll the insanely strong Chill Clip perk. This perk synergizes extremely well with Stasis, and any frozen enemy that ends up shattering counts as explosive damage, which will be important later when we look at armor mods. This weapon can be found in the Vow of the Disciple raid and drops from the first and third encounters. Our energy weapon and exotic auto rifle of choice, Hardlight, is the cherry on top that allows this build to scale into endgame content. It can be easy to forget that while the fundamentals allows Hardlight to switch between all three elemental types, it also has another perk, Volatile Light, that gives the weapon almost infinite range. This gun shines this season, as not only did it receive the 40% exotic primary buff, but it can also stun overload champions as well as proc volatile rounds, thanks to some artifact mods. Hardlight can be found as a random world drop or can be purchased from Xur on the weekends. Moving on to our power weapon of choice, in order to stay with the theme, I chose the new legendary stasis rocket launcher, the Palmera B. This weapon becomes arguably the best in-slot option when you are able to craft and slot some enhanced perks, and I find enhanced autoloading holster in particular to be well worth the extra effort. Palmera B can be found as a random world drop, sold by Banshee, or crafted in the Enclave on Mars. Finally, our exotic chess piece of choice, the Hoarfrost-Z, comes with the exotic perk Glacial Fortification, which replaces the Titan Barricade with a wall of ice, granting the same reload speed, stability, and range buffs as a rally barricade to both you and your allies. Hunters have slowing dodge, Warlocks have slowing rift, and this exotic finally allows a way for Titans to add stasis to their class ability as well. Hoarfrost-Z can be earned through completing the legendary campaign or a solo legend or master lost sector. Our subclass of choice will be Behemoth Titan, and I chose to go with the Duskfield Grenade as it has the lowest cooldown. Tectonic Harvest allows any stasis crystal we shatter to form a stasis shard, feeding back into our abilities, and Diamond Lance, while an average aspect in its own right, allows us to slot 3 additional fragments. The fragments I chose for this build all revolve around survivability, ability spam, and explosive shatter damage, and include Whisper of Shards, Fissures, Rime, Conduction, and Chains. Before covering armor mods, there are a few things to note about the stat distribution you should be targeting when running this build. I always advocate for high recovery, and after that, any leftover points should be put into resilience. We want to have our barricade up as much as possible in order to take advantage of the exotic, and stats such as strength or intellect are not as valuable on Behemoth in my opinion. Taking a look at our helmet, I have set it to the Void energy type in order to slot Reaping Wellmaker. When running this build, we want to be popping our barricade as much as possible, and this mod allows us to create a Void Well immediately after doing so. Moving on to our gauntlets, I have set them to the Stasis energy type in order to slot Grenade Kickstart and Elemental Shards. We will be creating a large amount of Stasis Shards when running this build, which will now feed back into all 3 of our abilities upon collection. Our chest piece, an exotic of choice, is set to the Solar energy type in order to slot Well of Life. This is hands down the strongest Elemental Well mod in the game, and when paired with Explosive Wellmaker, you will have almost 100% uptime on this insane healing. Sliding down to our legs, these have also been set to Solar in order to slot the second half of the insane survivability mod combo, Explosive Wellmaker. This will be our source of Solar Wells when running this build, and can be procced through any Stasis explosion. Finally, our mark has been set to Stasis in order to slot Double Utility Kickstart. These mods give us a significant portion of our barricade back every time we place it down, and contribute to its near 100% uptime. Volatile Flow works extremely well with hardlight, as it naturally starts as a void weapon every time you spawn in. That is all the information you need to set up this build. I will now let some background footage from this week's 1580 Master Nightfall play out as I note some of the key points when trying this build for yourself. I highly recommend breaking 1 to 2 crystals immediately upon placing your barricade. It can be difficult to get different angles on enemies when hiding behind your ice wall, and it is almost impossible for more than one person to take advantage of the barricade buffs while maintaining a line of sight on their target. As long as 1 crystal is left standing, you will still receive all the benefits that come with it. Personally, I try and break at least the middle crystal every time I place a barricade, as this allows for 1 person to stand in the middle and 1 person to stand on either side of the wall. Additionally, be aware of the positioning of your barricade, as unlike in the past, it is actually a solid object. Therefore, placing a barricade down at the back line might initially seem like a good idea, but it also cuts off any hope of retreat. The only way to get through the Hoarfrost-Z ice wall is to either shoot the crystals or find your way around it, costing valuable time that might cost you your life in content such as a Grandmaster. Finally, don't be afraid to use your barricade as an offensive tool. This is more useful in lower tier content, but the explosions from the stasis crystals themselves pack quite a punch. Diving into a group of enemies and popping your ice wall not only slows any enemies near the forming crystals, but you can then nuke the entire group by utilizing the insane shatter damage. This is also a great way to form all 3 types of elemental wells we are using in this build in one move, as our barricade causes a void well to drop, and the subsequent shatter damage can create stasis shards and solar wells. That's all for today's video. Thank you to everyone who made it to the end. I hope you found this guide useful, and I hope to see ice walls and stasis javelins being spammed aplenty in the upcoming Grandmasters. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for any and all future content, and comment down below. What stasis subclass is your favorite? Until next time, PixarDonks has left the building.